Thank you very much, my senior. Because all protocols have been observed, but I will take special recognition of the Honorable Minister. I'll take special recognition of the Chair of the African Commission. But the position that I'll be given to say a few remarks, in the interest of time, Chairperson and the Honorable Minister allow me to recognize that it's been a journey, and that this reflection, it's about a journey that most of us in the room have been deliberate about participating in. And please allow me to take this moment to recognize the presence of a number of leaders from the various networks that form part of the African Defenders Network. We have colleagues from the Southern African region. We have colleagues from, and if you are here, please, if you could just raise your hand so that at least we have a recognition. Colleagues from the Southern region. Do we have any representative from the Southern region? Please, let's recognize. We have colleagues from East African region, specifically Kenya, Tanzania. I see from Uganda, anyone from Kenya at the back there. From Ethiopia, do we have someone from the Western region? Thank you. Do we have someone from the Northern region? It cuts across, and the reason why I say this is because the journey towards where we are celebrating 25 years is a long one. I stand here to represent the chairperson for the African Defenders, but also in my capacity as the chairperson of the Eastern Horn of Africa Human Rights Defenders Network. I want to say that it's been a journey ever since that convening that took place in Johannesburg, and the convening that took place in 1998 was simply about human rights defenders being concerned by the rate of extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearances, and other reprisals just because of speaking truth to power, just because of highlighting human rights violations in the sub-region. And that convening is the one that also coincided with the actual declaration taking place in the same year in 1998. Now we have a UN Human Rights Defenders Declaration that recognizes that the work that you and me do is actually not a crime, as has been stated at the back. It's important for all of us. But also, let me also take that chance to say that at that particular convening, there was some plan of action that was developed out of the deliberations that came out of that meeting. And it was a recognition that we need to have human rights defenders across the region that recognizes and supports human rights defenders at risk. And because of that, that's why we have seen the growth and the emergency of these groups that are mentioned in each of the region. And of course, you've seen the representation from across the region. But if I must say, is that they need to recognize the role that was taken and the leadership of Hassan Shire, who then formed the Eastern Horn of Africa Human Rights Defenders Network that became the starting point of this other germination of the various network and platforms for support of human rights defenders. Because it's a reflection period, I want to say that moving forward, we quickly started forming other networks in Kenya. It was the first network for human rights defenders. It was followed by the Tanzanian coalition, the Ugandans, and others started coming up across the country in the sub-region, and later in the African region. And specifically, let me mention that in 2009, there was that meeting that was held in Kampala where the need to have a Pan-African movement for human rights defenders was established. Fast forward, we have also seen the appetite for the support of the work of human rights defenders coming from no other than the national human rights institutions, and you'll agree that the Marrakesh Declaration is something that we need to be proud about, that eventually, and now we can talk about various national human rights institutions, government institutions, recognizing that they need to work with the human rights defenders to promote and protect the rights that are very critical. But I think for me, it's also in that line of the great achievements that we have had, what should we be also be talking about? I need to say that 25 years later, and has been mentioned by my colleague, we still see a lot of reprisals against human rights defenders. it's a concern that we need to talk about. How do we make sure that the spirit and the letter of the declaration is actually implemented by the various governments? I need to also say that we have seen that the human rights defenders movement has diverse needs. And I have to be specific about the specific concerns that women human rights defenders have. And therefore, I'm happy to see that we have an emergence of a number of women human rights defenders hubs in the sub-region, in the region, and at country levels. But more importantly is that as a nation, we hope various nations, various countries should prioritize the fact that women still continue to suffer, to be extremely targeted just because of being women. And I think that's, we need to work very hard. Honorable Chairperson, I need also to say that we need to continue strengthening solidarity networks. And as we have demonstrated, we are developing them at a national level and regional level, but increasingly we have a challenge at the community level. But I hope that as we move to the next steps of the declaration, the focus should be the community where a lot of violations are taking place, because fewer and fewer supporting mechanisms exist for human rights defenders. There are so many things that I can't say, but because of time, I will stop there. But let me stop first of all by appreciating that this meeting comes at a critical time. First of all, being on the sidelines of the 77th anniversary, on the 75th anniversary of the UN Declaration of Human Rights Defenders. And the fact that we are going to celebrate this in Tanzania demonstrates that East Africa has the capacity to provide the leadership. And please convey our appreciation, Honorable Minister, to the President for taking this leadership. And for that, many remarks, I thank you.